Hi there, come on in. I'm Fred Trost, and with all of the people you see right here on our Michigan Outdoors camera, we're going to be at Outdoorama for the next 10 days. Some of us will be here on special nights like Glenn Dutter, Scott Baker, his big rack. Master Angler Night. Hey, we have you, Mr. Farson, who's going to tell us how you caught this 64-pound sturgeon on hook and line. It's a great story. Stick around because it's Thursday night. Time for Michigan Outdoors.
From the rugged shore and woodlands of the north, its history of copper mines and iron ore, the Great Lakes fisheries. To the farmlands of the southern counties, we'll look around again at all that waits the sportsman in the state of Michigan.
Dwayne Farson, look at this fish you got. You were fishing for walleye, I happen to know, in Muskegon Lake with your buddy here, Jim Bell. What was it like to have a fish like this on the other end of your line?
A thrill of a lifetime.
How long did it take to catch him?
Oh, about 45 minutes.
Well, this is a lake sturgeon. Came from Muskegon Lake, a prehistoric fish. You know, these fish don't have any bones.
Yes, I'm aware of that.
Cartilage inside.
Cartilage going down through for the spinal.
Well, Jim, I want to hear the story of, I know he had to be yelling inside the ice shanty and everything else.
I was too busy. You can tell the story.
Okay, so you were caught him on this little ice fishing rod, 8-pound test line, and when you came into the shanty and saw him battling this fish, what did you think was going on?
I thought he had on a huge walleye.
How big are the walleye that you've caught out of Muskegon Lake?
8.5 pounds.
Wow, I mean, that's a dandy walleye, but this is incredible. You pulled him through the hole in the ice?
Yeah, I gaffed him when he tired. We only saw him the one time when he come around to the hole. I reached down and gaffed him and brought him up through the ice.
What was it like to be in a small shanty, you two guys, and a fish like this on top of the ice?
Your hands full.
Have to be there. You know, the fish came up, and I was reeling, and I said it looked like Joss. Now, I mean it. It just come right up into the hole. Jim, I said, oh, Sturgeon. He got the gaff. He pulled it up. Jim's a big man. It was a small shanty. He pulled it up, and he leaned backwards and slipped, and here's the sturgeon across his lap, and
All
just
three of you in the shanty.
knocking the devil out of me.
Well, a lot of people haven't seen a sturgeon. Why don't we flip this over to look at the bottom? And it's incredible how you caught this on a loco
Right.
spoon jigging for walleye. That's
But
incredible.
that,
You actually hooked it in the mouth.
Yes, sir. There were 2 other hooks in the fish's mouth.
Wow, this is really something. Because normally, a sturgeon cruises along the bottom, and this mouth extends quite
Yes,
a
it
bit.
does. About 3 to 4 inches.
They normally vacuum up crawfish and occasionally get a little fish, but that is really quite a story. What are you going to do with him?
I want to have it mounted.
Well, I should hope so. Now, you're going to be at Outdoorama, won't you?
Yes, I will.
Okay, this is going to be Master Angler Night on Tuesday night, the 23rd. Outdoorama, you will see Dwayne Farson here with his 64-pound sturgeon live and in the flesh. That's going to be incredible. We have a lot of other people coming down with their Master Angler fish. It's going to be a heck of a show. So come and see him. Dwayne,
We'll do that.
congratulations.
Thank
Jim,
you.
I know there's a lot more of that story to tell, and we'll hear about it at Outdoorama. Well, Ed, we're going to do some other things at Outdoorama on Master Angler Night. We're going to have a discussion on that controversial issue of are your fish safe to eat? And remember, a couple weeks ago, we did a show here based on the Public Health Advisory, which is at the back of the Michigan Fishing Guide, and it says that because of chemical contamination in some fish, the Department of Public Health recommends that you consider not eating fish from certain lakes. And it's quite a complex list of regulations here, but we got a little response from that through the mail, didn't we?
Right. There was a lot of people that were kind of upset with a lot of the things that Wayne Schmidt had to say from the MUCC. Like this viewer from Mount Clemens. I moved here from San Diego, California, where we all ate all the fish that we caught of size. I won't eat lake fish and haven't for the 2 years I've lived in southeast Michigan. I fear for future generations, if not our own, constantly ingesting complex chemicals and various sources of radiation exposures. I'm now almost 4 months pregnant and so glad not to have been here during the PBB spill. Although I still worry about the chemical residue all over Michigan, I hope my breast milk will be relatively unaffected. The apathy and ignorance of native Michiganders towards Michigan's greatest asset, its water, infuriates me. We need strict pollution laws and avid enforcement of those laws.
And Anthony Calderon from Battle Creek summed it up very succinctly. If the gosh darn fish are that dangerous to eat, why are we spending millions of dollars on planting more of them instead of cleaning up the darn water?
From East Detroit, everything I eat or drink will supposedly kill me or give me cancer, from hot dogs to tap water. The way I see it, I might as well die from eating something as delicious as a freshly caught salmon or walleye. What a way to go. Still breathing, Dan Reume.
From East Detroit. And finally, I don't and won't eat Michigan fish, so why should I fish in Michigan? I love eating northern pike and walleye. I love crappie and perch, fresh caught. I feel sad that my son, 5 years old, can't go out and catch and eat fish safely. If there are safe fish in Michigan, I would like to know. Well, Brian, there are safe fish in Michigan, and even though the public health advisory here says that you shouldn't, or they recommend you don't eat the fish, it does say uncertainties about the impact of prolonged exposure dictate the following advice. So it's an uncertainty that we're worrying about. It's not for sure that these fish are unsafe to eat. So read that, look at that, and make up your own mind. Now, a lot of the smaller fish, your perch, bluegill, panfish, fish in inland lakes are perfectly safe to eat. And it is questionable, keep in mind, questionable about whether it's advisable to eat the fish for pregnant women and so on. But it's a complex list of regulations, not regulations, but recommendations, and something you have to think about yourself. But really, Brian, there are many, many fish in this state that are safe to eat, and I hope your son gets out there and catches a lot of them. Now, where can people get some more information? And it is a little hard to come by.
Well, the Michigan State University Cooperative Extension Service has this publication. It's called Understanding Contaminants in Fish. There's a lot of good information in here. If you're interested, it costs 40 cents. And you can write to us here at Michigan Outdoors, Box 1, East Lansing, Michigan, 48823, and we'll get you a copy.
And if you show up at Master Angler Night down at Outdoorama at the State Fairgrounds, we're going to have a discussion on this and many other things. Well, thanks, Ed. Now we're going to go over and talk about Archery Night with our wildlife specialist here, Glenn Dutterer from Michigan State, and Scott Baker. You're the guy who bagged this buck with a bow. And here's your bow right here, and there's your buck. But this buck is unusual, isn't it, Scott?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Not just the size, but its antlers. Point them out. How many antlers does it have?
Got one here, and one here, so 3 of them.
A 3-antlered buck. That's uncommon, isn't it, Glenn?
It's most unusual.
But it looks normal. I mean, it doesn't look like a freak rack, particularly. Why do you suppose it has 3 antlers?
Well, this looks like it would be the result of the heritage of the deer, its genes. It looked like it has grown this antler every year that it started growing antlers. It doesn't look like it was due to injury or anything, and so you can just say that this is an abnormality that's occurred with this particular deer.
Well, Scott, you got this deer down in some really fine big buck country down in Hillsdale County. Have you seen a lot of bucks this size, or have you seen this one before?
I've seen this one before. I've chased him for a couple, 3 years.
Oh, you have?
Yeah.
Did you ever notice his 3rd antler?
No, never did. If he'd been that close, I should have had him earlier.
Well, I guess so. And you got him on when?
November 5th.
Oh, that was a good day. That was the first day that Michigan Outdoors hit the air on public TV. So that was a good day for both of us. Well, you hunt with a compound bow.
Yes,
Have you always used a compound?
yes.
You never used a recurve?
No, never have.
Well, we're going to have the fellow who really marketed compound bows and put them into popularity, Tom Jennings from California, is flying in for Archery Night. What about, you're not a purist then as far as bow hunting goes?
No.
You don't mind the mechanical pulleys
No.
and so on?
No.
What about crossbows, Scott?
I've got kind of mixed feelings with that.
Not sure whether they should be legalized or not.
Right.
Well, we're going to have discussions on that at Outdoorama Archery Night, and that's on Monday night, 19th, 20th, 21st, the 22nd. Monday night, the 22nd is Archery Night. Scott, you'll be there?
I'll be there.
You'll be there on stage with your buck and participate in the seminars, and you're going to be there on Big Buck
bet.
Night. What are you going to talk about Big Buck Night? You're going to do something special.
We're going to show sportsmen how they can butcher their deer, cut it up with nothing more than a knife, and then also show some other methods.
How you can do it at home. Did you cut up your own deer?
Not this year. I have in other years.
Oh, you have?
Not this year.
Okay, well, Glenn is going to show us how to do it, and that's on Big Buck Night. And Big Buck Night, we have other things to talk about, too. Congratulations there, Scott. Here, hold that, Glenn. Thank you. Big Buck Night, we're going to get into some other controversies. Well, I mean, they're controversial to some people. Dave Arnold, from the DNR, you're the deer specialist. Let's talk a little bit about some of the discussions or debates, or I don't know how it's going to turn out, that we're going to have. We have one scheduled on trophy bucks in Michigan. Now, Some people are critical of trophy hunting, of the fact that the DNR is having a big buck contest and we're doing big buck nights and promoting that.
Well, yeah, trophy
Well,
hunting
why?
is, I don't know for sure. I think it's because it's not totally understood. I think trophy hunting can be an admirable thing, particularly if it's done in an ethical manner, and if the hunter understands that you must take non-trophy deer in order to have trophies. And it's part of the biology of the whole thing, and it isn't any different than the general hunting, but
Well, why do people hunt? Why do you think Michigan deer hunters go out and hunt? Are they all going out for trophies?
Oh, certainly not. Certainly not. There are four main elements why we hunt. One is tradition, one is for companionship, one is trophy, and this is an important part of the hunt, and there's certainly nothing wrong with this.
And the meat.
And the meat, of course. And a trophy can be anything. It can be a little spike buck, but a trophy is something that keeps your remembrances of an act well performed by both you and the animal, and it's something that you can hang on a wall and you look at for years and years, and otherwise it might be lost and forgotten. And it's part of the richness of life, really.
What would happen? I mean, you know, I don't like to have to justify hunting by saying, oh, the deer would starve, and that's why we have to hunt, because you named the reasons why we hunt, and it doesn't include saving the animals for themselves.
We don't hunt deer for the deer's sake. We hunt it for our own sake, and I think we can face up to that without shame, really.
What would happen in Michigan, though, if we didn't hunt deer for 2 years?
Perhaps nothing, but perhaps some rather detrimental things to the rest of other parts of society. For instance, now we run over 18,000 deer a year on our highways, and people get hurt, some people get killed. This would undoubtedly escalate. There are millions of dollars done to crop damage. This would undoubtedly escalate, and it would be extremely detrimental to the farm community. And we would lose $200 or $300 million a year to the economy that hunting generates.
Well, there's a lot of aspects to hunting we'll be talking on Big Buck Night, but there's another one, managing the deer hunters. Now, there are some people who say there are just too many hunters in the woods on November 15th, and maybe we should split the season. Maybe we should have several opening days. How you like that idea, Dave?
Well, there's a real hornet's nest, and one of the things I mentioned, one of the elements of the hunt is tradition. And when you start tampering with tradition, you're really poking a stick at that hornet's nest. And some of these things may have merit, but I would caution you to think very, very carefully before we start
Monkeying with the seasons?
with the seasons.
We've done it on fish, though. We've opened up the bigger rivers for steelhead year-round and done away with those opening days.
True, but the fisheries management game is a lot different, and the traditions aren't quite as steep. Michigan deer hunting is probably the most traditional thing that we have in the state, and it has to be treated very, very carefully. And,
Okay, well, how many deer did we take last year?
we took perhaps, we don't have the final tally, but well over 150,000, maybe as high as 180,000 by the time all accounts are in between the archers and the gun hunters and the various seasons we've had. So we're providing a significant number of deer to a significant number of people under the present scheme, and we're really not getting very many complaints, if any, about too many hunters, because the people who hunt where there are a lot of hunters, they like it that way, and the people that hunt where there aren't very many hunters, they like it that way, and the hunters have more or less fallen into the way that they want to do it.
Well, it's a safety thing, too. I think people would love to see a season where we had no accidental fatalities.
Oh, we'll certainly go along with that most wholeheartedly, but if you look at the record of accidents in the state, deer hunting has become safer every year. For the last 20 years, safety record is improving, and it's probably safer to go deer hunting maybe than to even appear on Fred Trost's show.
You think so?
Well,
Hey, you came through this in flying colors. Hey, but we are going to stir that hornet's nest. You know that, Dave, on Wednesday night, Big Buck Night at Outdoorama. We're going to stir the hornet's nest and talk about tampering with the deer season. We're going to talk about trophy buck management, and you will see down there a whole slew of buck hunters who have their big bucks, just like Scott Baker. He'll be there on archery night, but a lot of them who took their deer with guns will be on Big Buck Night, and it's going to be a real good time.
I'm looking forward
to seeing you there and
Yeah.
stirring that hornet's nest.
Okay.
Now, let's do something, Dave. Let's shift gears here. You know, this is the time of year when people start thinking about fishing, too, a little bit, and some of that nice spring weather. Let's go up to Boblo Island. I'm talking about the one next to Mackinac Island, and fish for some lake trout. Well, the Great Lakes, especially Lakes Michigan, Superior, and Huron, they used to be known for the large number and large size of the native lake trout. But up where we're fishing right now, the Indian fishing situation has kind of clobbered the lake trout up around the Straits of Mackinac. And back in the earlier years, commercial fishing and sea lampreys both put lake trout right out of business all over in Michigan. And until commercial fishing was restricted and sea lampreys were poisoned, those populations were way down. It's just been in the past, 6 or 7 years that sizable numbers of lake trout have been reappearing thanks to the DNR's fish hatchery program. We're fishing just east of Mackinac Island on the north side of Bob Lowe Island, northern Lake Huron. Sam Grissom and his boat Fever, he has his line set out. Lance Hanatsu's fishing buddy is at the helm. We're in about 90 feet of water. Using a depth finder fishing for lake trout is extremely useful. Since the lake trout hug the bottom, you need to know the bottom contours to get the lures right down to the trout. Sam's depth finder is a deluxe model with a graph that shows you not only the bottom, but each little peak above the bottom represents a fish, hopefully lake trout. So he drops the downrigger weights a little to get those lures down to the fish, and then all you can do is be patient. Sometimes goosing the engine just a little bit will momentarily speed up the lures, and that'll trigger those lake trout to strike. But of course, when you're fishing like this, nothing is guaranteed. I've been trolling sometimes for hours through fish like this. You see them on the graph, but can't get them to strike. But this morning we're lucky. At least we have a feeling we're not going to get skunked. Why do I say we have a feeling? Well, the fish isn't in the boat yet. Getting the fish in the net is always a critical maneuver. Lance demonstrates a double netting technique with a half twist, and look at that. It takes confidence to net a fish that way. Good way to lose them, but confidence is what you need when you're fishing, and we have the first lake trout aboard the boat, so we're not skunked. There's at least one delicious lake trout dinner that's going into the ice box. Now, these lake trout that come from these areas are fatty fish, and they are specifically one of the species that the Department of Public Health says that women of childbearing age shouldn't eat, and other people shouldn't eat too many of them. But the recommendations are you can cook these fish with a method where the drippings drip off, so you're not cooking them in your own juices, and that way they're going to be much safer. But again, that warning is based on some uncertainties and not really on fact of anybody who's been harmed by eating Great Lakes fish. But very often you can come back to port, many Michigan ports, with a respectable string of fish. Lake trout are getting bigger and bigger every year. Now, these lake trout we caught on that day aren't prize winners as far as the size goes. There are a lot more and a lot larger lake trout in the Great Lakes, but we just happen to be fishing a school of smaller ones. No complaints, though, from this group around the dinner table with a string of fish like this. Whether they're broiled or fried, they taste terrific, make a perfect end to a fishing trip in Michigan outdoors. Of course, on Master Angler Night, we're going to continue that discussion on are the fish safe to eat, when and where and how and why, and quite a controversial one. And then we have a special night here, Sporting Dog Night. Of course, you're going to be at Outdoorama all week. Tom Dokken. Tom, you are a national celebrity. You're cruising through the state here, working Outdoorama for the 10 days.
Right. Actually, I just go along with the national celebrities.
Oh, yeah? This is the one?
This is one of them. This is one of 6.
Okay, let's get Kip up here. Show people what this dog is. This is a Labrador Retriever that's chocolate.
This is a chocolate Labrador Retriever. This may be rare to a lot of people. There are 3 varieties. There's a black, yellow, and chocolate. There's starting to be more of these dogs show up around the country. It's a very fine dog. This is another Labrador Retriever. There's no difference between this and the black, just color.
Well, I tell you, their temperament is something. It's no wonder so many people are getting Labrador Retrievers for family pets.
Right. As well as being a tremendous versatile hunting dog, they are far and away one of the most friendly dogs.
Okay, well, let's give a little demonstration here of some of the things you're going to be doing with your Oak Ridge Retriever Act. About retrieving, you'll be working on the stage in the water tank.
Right. We're going to do some land and water retrieves. What I'll start out with here first is a basic single retrieve. Some of the things to look for here is the dog waits till I send him, comes back when called, holds onto it, delivers it when I ask for it. Sit, short single retrieve, he waits, Kip, send him on his name, fetch it up, good boy, heel, sit, kind of limited to space here, sit. He holds onto it, drop, delivers to hand.
Now this dog is obviously very obedient. You have to have complete control over a retriever in the
Right.
line.
These dogs here are supposed to be operating from a sit, heel position when you're hunting with them.
Well, let's see the maximum type control that you do with the hand signals.
All right, I'm going to throw 2 dummies out. I'm going to send him for one, stop him, and send him for the other. Sit. Once again, he should sit there and wait. I'll throw one off to the right. Sit. Back. Stop him. He should sit down on the whistle, wait for my command. Over.
And he grabs the dummy that you want him to.
Sit.
Well, you'll be doing a seminar down there on Sporting Dog Night on how your techniques for training these retrievers.
Right.
Is it difficult? Is it time consuming?
The most difficult thing is once the dogs are trained, is training the owners of the
The
dogs
owners to what?
to handle the dogs.
Ah, so when you teach people how to retrieve, you're really working with the owner,
Right.
and you teach them both together.
All the dogs that you're going to see on stage are dogs that I've trained for other customers. These are not my dogs at all. So you're going to get a chance to
Really?
see dogs that are trained for the public.
And you're a professional trainer.
Right.
Now let's do something that I want to see, and it's billed as part of your act. Of course,
All
I haven't
right.
seen the act yet since it opens tomorrow night. But you say that Kip can retrieve a raw egg without breaking it.
Well, we're going to try.
Okay? I got the cup, so we'll prove that this is a raw egg when we get done.
Well, let's see if we can get him to jump over the jump. Kip! Here, he'll go around it. Take the easy way. Sit.
There
Easy.
goes the egg.
Fetch. Fetch.
There's an awful lot of dogs that would just like to swallow that egg right there.
All around.
Think we can get him to jump with that egg in his mouth?
Well, we may be able to. Sit. A little bit unfamiliar with this prop. Kip! Jump! Jump! Heel.
Well, we got time. We'll get him
Sit.
over here.
Let's try it again. Kip! Jump!
Jump!
Jump! Attaboy. Here.
This
Sit.
reminds me of a dog act I saw Ned Sullivan once.
Good boy. Come on, up here. That's a good boy.
Well, he goes under. Let's try it one more time. We got another minute.
Sit. Kip. Hup. 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 Kip. Kip.
Come on.
Kip. There we go.
Okay. Now
There we go.
he's had this raw egg in his mouth the whole time.
So let's see if it's still there.
Okay, hold on. Let's turn around so we can get a shot here on the camera.
Yep.
This dog has had a raw egg in his mouth for a minute and a half.
Sit.
Whoa!
Okay.
It popped out.
Sit.
But here's the egg for about a minute and a half. And he did it. Of course,
There it is.
tomorrow night you're opening this act at Outdoorama and you have quite a procedure here. How many dogs do you have in the retrievers?
I've got 6.
Well, that's going to really be great. What do you find that retrievers are? Why do you work with retrievers rather than work with pointing breeds and so on?
Well, we're going to have, also we'll have one English pointer on the show. So we're going to have Labrador retrievers and an English pointer.
Okay, that's going to be a great lineup. Outdoorama, Sporting Dog Night. That's Thursday, the 25th.
Right.
Okay, and you'll see Tom Dockin, and of course you'll be there all week.
Right.
Thanks an awful lot, Tom.
Thank-
Okay, and you'll see Tom Dockin, and of course you'll be there all week.
Right.
Thanks an awful lot, Tom.
Thank you.
Now we're going to, do you fish?
Yes, I do.
Do you? I know you're from Minnesota.
Right.
Well, look at some of these fish we have in Michigan for our trophy report. People come from far and wide to fish Michigan. This woman, Patsy Knapp, came from area code 405. That's Smithville, Oklahoma. They don't have fish there like we do here. She went home with a master angler patch for her 15.5-pound brown trout caught on a green jay plug trolling off Benzie County. That was in July. I bet she'll be back again. Here's a string of fish, not master angler size, but Bill Jones, one of our loyal viewers from Madison Heights, sent this picture to me to show what can be caught in 2 days off Manistee with homemade equipment. He said he built his downriggers from pulleys made out of discarded clothes dryers, poured his own cannonballs from discarded wheel balancing lead, and he used light tackle. His son Ken and friend Mike Spihar said they lost a lot of fish too, but they had a ball salmon fishing last September. Now, last week, we had a 5-year-old who was a master angler. This week, we'll move into the geriatric ranks with 6-year-old Chad Kolkman from Zeeland, who caught a 16.5-pound steelhead trolling with a Northport nailer off Ottawa County. This little fellow is a dedicated fisherman. He caught it at 7 in the morning, a time when most 6-year-olds are watching Captain Kangaroo. He should wear his master angler patch proudly. Now, here's Here's another photo from viewers, Dick McElroy and Terry Larson from Lapeer. They wrote that in over 30 years of serious small game hunting, they've never taken a limit of cottontails. And in 2 hours on January 2nd, they did it this year. And what amazed them was they left their ailing beagle at home. Some great meals right there. They'll have to send me their favorite recipes, and we'll try them in our Michigan Outdoors kitchen. Don Shivey from Kentwood latched onto a nice 5-pound, 10-ounce smallmouth bass last September, fishing with a night crawler in one of the best smallmouth areas of Michigan, the Straits of Mackinac. Now, he kept it to take pictures of in a live well and released it back into the Straits the next day. Who knows? That fish could earn someone else, maybe you, a Master Angler Award. Finally, here's a big buck we didn't have at our big buck night, but maybe Larry Graham from Dowagiac will bring those massive antlers to Outdoorama next Wednesday and a sportsman's banquet. An 11-pointer with tall tines, a 22-inch spread. Well, like Larry, if you send us photos of your trophy fishing game, you too might appear in our weekly trophy report. Well, we've talked about archery on this show, big bucks, big fish, and all of this is going to be at Outdoorama. Ed and I will be there with a booth at Outdoorama for the next 10 days, opening tomorrow night at the State Fairgrounds. But I'd especially like you sportsmen to come out on the weeknights. Monday night for archers, Tuesdays, Master Angler Night, Big Buck Night is Wednesday. Sporting dogs, Thursday night, we have about 25 breeds of dogs there, including the world champion coon dog. Friday night is a special Michigan